What's going on, everyone? So Lakers signing of Alex Len gave them a big physical interior presence. And I know his first game was not great by any stretch of the imagination. I understand his first game was very disappointing, right? He didn't look great out there, but I do think we need to be patient. I do think we shouldn't overreact to the first game. I think context and circumstances matter, right? I think he came at probably the worst time ever because everybody was awful, right? I mean, that was one of the worst games we've seen the Lakers play in a very long time. They just didn't show up, right? They took their vacation early and just got ran through by the Jazz. I mean, everyone was just getting blown by, backdoored regularly, and Alex Len was out there to fend for himself, right? He was stranded on a life raft in the middle of the ocean that game, and it wasn't really fair to him. Secondly, I also think that he literally was probably in Indiana, just got off a plane, and then immediately got thrusted in, didn't know the playbook, didn't know the offensive schemes, defensive schemes, where he's supposed to be on the basket. He was just out there just playing. Jackson Hayes goes down, right? I just think it was a very bad circumstance for Alex Len, period. Now, he's not a superstar. He's not some guy, like if you're counting on him to be a 20-10 guy with like 3 blocks a game or whatever, going to be very disappointing. But him being a guy that's like 8 to 12 points because LeBron and Luka are just feeding him and he's getting a couple putbacks or whatever, I think that's something that could be a possibility. They'll give you 6 to 8 rebounds, somewhere in that range. Obviously, it depends on how many minutes he plays, the role he plays, things like that. But like, to me, it's, can we let him get comfortable out there, right? You saw some of the stuff you wanted, right? His ability to rebound. He rebounded the ball very well for that game. I mean, Jackson Hayes, who everyone's like in love with all of a sudden, and I'm old enough to remember when I was getting comments from the large majority of people that were like, Jackson Hayes is trash, get this guy off my team. If he's on the team post-trade deadline, Lakers aren't serious, and blah, blah, blah. Now everyone's talking about Jackson Hayes like he's the truth. And Jackson Hayes, in the previous Utah game, only had 2 rebounds, right? I'm not talking about this last one where he got hurt, because he had 2 rebounds in that. But I'm talking about the previous one. He played 23 minutes and gave you 2 rebounds, right? Alex Len played 21 and a half minutes and got you 7 rebounds, right? So you saw the rebounding. You saw, he got a block, right? He was deterring shots at the rim a little bit. He was getting yammed on all over the place. Don't get me wrong. It was not great, but I think he'll be fine. Let's give him a chance. Can we let him play more than 21 minutes before we decide whether he's trash or not, right? He is a second, third option for most teams, right? Same thing with Jackson Hayes. Same thing with everybody that's available. But I did prefer Trey Jemison. I talked very heavily on this channel, on As It Stands Lakers, about Trey Jemison and how I really wanted to see the Lakers maybe look to use Trey Jemison more. And I thought, he gives you kind of the same thing that you want from Alex Len, but is younger and more athletic. And that was kind of my thought process, is that like, if you can get a Trey Jemison, convert him to the main roster. Yes, he's not a true 7-footer. He's 6'11", 270, but he's a big physical just tank and specimen. Is he raw? Would he be ideal? Is he probably best suited as like your third big, just like Alex Len? Absolutely. But you kind of keep it in-house. You free up a 2-way spot for somebody else to maybe kind of get some looks at some other guys. And you also get that guy that maybe can evolve and emerge over the course of this season and into next season as like a real option for the Lakers. I think, because what you want from Alex Len is the big physical interior presence that can bang with the big boys. I like Trey Jemison as a guy that can just come in, give you that just, can he be a 6-foul-a-game guy, right? There's nothing wrong with that, right? Like Jackson Hayes could be your starter. Trey Jemison comes in, right? And he's just giving you like 6 good playoff fouls a night. You're playing Jokic, something like that. And he's just like, again, nothing dirty, but, good playoff basketball foul, good hard playoff foul. I really would have liked Trey Jemison, and I still think he makes a little more sense than Alex Len. I think he's also a better lob threat. I mean, Alex Len can still give you that lob threat, but he's not as mobile as he used to be. he still can move. But he's a lot more slow-footed than he used to be. Where Trey Jemison, I think, is just, he's quicker. We've seen him defend out on the perimeter. We've seen him do things like that. Obviously, I don't think he's, like, oh, that's it. Lakers are the best team in the league with Trey Jemison. But I don't think that with Alex Len. And I just think Trey Jemison would have given you probably all the same stuff that Alex Len would have given you. The only argument, in my opinion, for Alex Len over Trey Jemison is that Alex Len does give you the experience factor, right? He's a guy that's been in the league. He's a veteran. He's played in playoff games. He's played in, big high-stake games, right? He's a guy that you can throw out there and deploy and just kind of trust, right? Again, I don't think it's fair to give a proper assessment to him on just that Jazz game alone, right? I wouldn't want to do that for any player, right? I mean, Luka hasn't looked like Luka in these first two games, right? Luka almost fouled out in 2.5 quarters, right? Like, again, Luka has not looked fantastic, but we understand context with him, right? We understand the situation and environment. And I get he's a superstar and stuff like that. So, we want to make excuses and reasons and all that stuff. But again, like, there's context with Alex Len too, right? With Luka, it's just like, hey, he was out 6 weeks. He just got back from injury. Let him get his legs under him. He's on a brand new team, right? Again, no one's worried about Luka. But Alex Len, it's like, okay, well, he played 21 minutes. He hadn't played in like a month. He was in another state because he was signing with another team. And then got here, wasn't even supposed to play, ended up having to get thrown into the fire, and had to play 21 minutes, doesn't know the playbook, doesn't know the offense schemes, defensive schemes, anything. Oh, and the Lakers played the worst game that they've played in probably a month and a half, right? It's like, again, context matters. Context is important, right? These things matter. These things are important. And I just don't think it's fair to judge Alex Len on that one game, given all the context, right? So I do think we'll be fine with Alex Len. Again, I would prefer a better center than Alex Len and Jackson Hayes, but now everyone's on the Jackson Hayes bandwagon. And it's like, again, we're all old enough to remember when the general consensus was that Jackson Hayes was trash and he shouldn't be on the team, right? Like, now everyone's like, oh, he's the best player on the team. And it's just like give Alex Len some time. But I would have really liked Trey Jemison. I do think Trey Jemison I still think he probably would have been the better option, in all honesty. I know people have said, again, I read the comments, I respond to as many as I can and stuff like that. Like, I get a lot of, yeah, but he's a hothead. Like, he's not. Like, the guy is just, like, watch him. Yeah, he gets in little squabbles and stuff like that, but he's laughing, he's clapping, he's like, I love it, right? Like, I like the attitude. I like the kind of F you attitude. I like that was Dwight Howard in 2020, and everyone loved it, right? Dwight Howard was getting flagrants and technicals and ejections and he was doing all kinds of stuff. But that was his job, right? That was his role. He was supposed to be the goon, right? He was the guy that was supposed to just be the a-hole out there on the basketball court. And now that's Jemison's role. Right? Like, I would have preferred Jemison, honestly, but I do think we need to give Alex Len a fair shake, give Alex Len a fair shot, right? Like, let's give him 10 games and then decide whether he's trash or not. Maybe he will be, right? I don't know. Alex Len might be a terrible decision. It might have just been like, man, like, this is the last guy we should have signed. That's a very real possibility. I just don't know after 21 minutes of play. Given all the circumstances, given how the rest of the Lakers played, right? Like, if the Lakers balled out and the defense was great, but Alex Len was just getting torched every possession, that's different. But it's kind of hard when, again, you don't know the defense schemes, and Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves, Luka, all these guys are just getting blown by every possession, and you have Alex Len basically on a life raft in the middle of the ocean. Like, it's just, you can't really knock him for that. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with my points? Disagree with my points? Kind of mixed in the middle? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I love to hear it either way, so let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot, so we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.